I love for the audience to be able to hear from the folks here on the stage. Again, thank you so much for making time to be here, and thank you for the art that you're putting out in the world. Very powerful art. Yeah, you can give it up for the powerful art. So I'm going to have you introduce yourselves. Pronouns, if you want to do that, your role in the film project that we got to witness and be a part of this afternoon. Anyone else you want to mention, collaborators like that, to share with us? All right, and why don't I start here and we'll come around.
Hi, my name is Robin Dekkers. I'm the artistic director of Post Ballet and Berkeley Ballet Theater, and choreographed and directed Rewilding, which was the film with the Dance for Parkinson's Disease community at Berkeley Ballet. And I want to give a shout out to Susan Weber, who's here, the director of the Dance for PD program at Berkeley, who really supported me through the process of building this film, and to all of the performers that were a part of the piece.
Thank you, Robin.
My name is Wade Adakai. I'm from the Navajo Reservation in Arizona, New Mexico, and the film you watch was something we shot last year with the dancer Raven Bright, who is also Diné. He's Navajo, and he's currently residing and associated with the Tiwa Reservation near Santa Fe, and this was part of a clothing brand for kinship that's owned by Amy Denetdale. She's a Navajo woman, and she had the wonderful idea to follow up on one of the performances for a fashion show she hosted. And we were so astonished by what Raven did during that event that we decided to collaborate with him further for the film.
Thank you, Wade. And that was the first film, We Belong Here. Yes.
We Belong Here, yes.
Yes.
My name's Liz Curtis. Mine was the second film in the program, Being in This Body. I'm the director and editor. I made it in collaboration with a friend of mine, Jamie Kadish, who I knew when she was sighted about 10 years ago, and she has a degenerative eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa, where she's gradually losing her vision. And I saw her on a televised news segment. They were focusing on her using the white cane, learning how to use it. And I didn't know she had retinitis pigmentosa. I hadn't seen her in about 10 years. And so we reconnected, and she was telling me how she knew dance wasn't an option for her anymore. So really, this is my love letter to her, to show her there's other modes of performance. And she lives in Mexico. She can't be here tonight.
Beautiful, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Antwan Banks-Williams. I am the director and producer of Every Second, along with Amy Dallin, Raina Brown, and Maurice Reed, who are also producers and the dancer in the film Every Second.
Hello, I'm Kelly Hargraves. I'm the producer of the last film you saw, Fever. It was made through a program we run through my festival, Dance Camera West, which is called Visibility for Underrepresented Voices, that we've made for the last 6 years, I think. We've made about 16 films. Arisha Hubbard-Romaine is the brilliant director of that film. That was made, I moved to Bakersfield a few years ago, and as they say, why Bakersfield? And I met Andrew, and there was a program through the California Arts Council to make work in places with low HPI scores, which is the Healthy Persons Index, which Bakersfield is a 1 on 1 to 10. So I identified filmmakers that we presented in our film festival and brought them to Bakersfield to tell these unique stories of individuals there that I had met while living there. And Andrew was one of the first people I met in that class. And I thought, what is up with this dude? Somebody has to figure this out. So I put Arisha on that, and she's just such a kick-ass person. I think you can tell through the energy of that film, but she's now a board member, and she is the producer of the Visibility program for Dance Camera West now. Powerful. Thank you.
So this is how we're going to roll in the little time that we have. I'm going to ask a question that I think will be really proper and, what can I say? It will be a question that will be for all of you to answer because they didn't get a chance to get prepped on this, so I try to be very thoughtful. That's really what I'm trying to say. I try to be thoughtful with my questions so that it fits all the ways that you want to be present today, hopefully. And then I'll have like what we call a rapid answer question. I do that because I love folks to see maybe a part of us that wouldn't necessarily be shared all the time, perhaps. And hopefully there'll be time left for Q&A because we love hearing from the audience. All right, so in curating the program, what resonated with me were some themes that I felt were common and sort of were thread through all of the films. Transformation was a theme that resonated with me, resilience, and also resistance. And can you speak to or share a moment in the journey of making and or producing the film that stands out for you? Maybe speak to what is at the core of the experience for you in directing or producing the film. Cool? You jump in there. I see the microphone raised.
Sure. Again, my name is Antwan Banks-Williams, and I produced Every Second. I think one of the biggest obstacles we had in producing the film was our locations. Everybody was in a different part of the Bay Area, but outside of trying to produce a film, a lot of the work was actually happening within ourselves, right? Like, I am a formerly incarcerated man. I've been free for about 5 years, but there's not a day that goes by where I'm still not reminded of my incarceration. I'm still not reminded of the experiences that I had. And the theme throughout Every Second is you can be as free as you want, but you'll never be free from your experience of prison. And how do we get to a place where we can be one with ourselves, we can stop running from a version of ourselves that don't exist, while still trying to take the necessary steps to be the person that we ultimately want to be, when there isn't going to always be help, because the kind of support that is needed for formerly incarcerated folks isn't just going to be, you know, financial support or housing or employment. It's going to be a lot of it, maybe just be psychological or mental, and kind of just having that space to be, and not also, and while also realizing that, like, we can't get away from this guilt that we have, right, from being the persons and the people that we were that, like, ultimately led us to prison, holding ourselves accountable, holding the system accountable, and doing this in a way that can just bring art into it, right? Like, so outside of trying to go from San Francisco to Vallejo or to Richmond, it's, you know, to these different places to kind of meet up, because there's 5 of us that were working in collaboration this entire process. Just continuing to do the work on ourselves, and especially for my good friend Reese, who was the dancer and the main focus of the film, because he had actually just gotten out, and we started a film like pretty much as soon as he came home. So I just also want to, like, extend my heartfelt love and appreciation to him for continuing to be vulnerable with all of us in this process.
Absolutely. Thank you. Would you like to
Yeah,
come in?
I have a thought. Some
Yeah.
of the things you were talking about is really kind of adjacent to our film. We talked a lot about accessibility when we were making it, and had actually intended the film to be more accessible. We ended up using a lot of our rehearsal footage, you know, but in the process we wanted to have, like, you know, white costuming against a black background, et cetera, some of those things. So now as we continue those conversations on accessibility and those things you're talking about, resilience and all of that, we're finding that audio descriptions is a real, something that really needs to be addressed. And so adjacent to this film, Jamie, the subject of my documentary and collaborator, she actually just worked as a consultant for a big budget film that's in the theaters right now, and was the consultant for, focuses on the condition she has, and also helped with the audio descriptions and just how lacking they are. We went to the theater to see them, and just the ableism of they only have like 1 or 2 devices for those that require them, and often accessibility is often an afterthought. And so I don't know, somewhat related to what you were asking is I just experienced that in the making of it also. Just little things like doing the captioning for myself. I sort of put off doing it because I was afraid it would never be right. And when I talked to Jamie about that, she said that she likened that to her experience of people not wanting to come and just talk to her because they're so worried that they're going to offend her, or, you know, just, and then they end up alienating her even more. She feels even more excluded. So that's all.
Right. Well, hearing what you had to share, Antwan, too, the films also have an inherent advocacy, right? The messaging, there's, right? Whether, and can be subtle, but still that message of advocacy is there. So that's another thing that I'm hearing, and it makes the art so vital and valuable. So thank you for that. Who wants to go next? You want to?
I have,
I'm
sorry.
going to hand this to Rob, so you can have your turn when it's time.
I have, what came through for me in the whole process of putting the project together and watching it happen and knowing Andrew and knowing Arisha is this word purpose. And there's that one shot when they're in the park, when that student, his former student, shows up, which he didn't know was going to happen, because Arisha's whole goal of the entire shoot was to break Andrew down and make him vulnerable. And so she set that up, and it worked. But there was one moment where I'm watching her direct this entire crew, this young black woman who's not usually the person behind the camera, and I'm watching him talk about his purpose of getting this kid through a rough time as a child. I mean, I get emotional about it because I'm like, that's why I'm in Bakersfield, because I came from like LA where, you know, I was surrounded by artists all the time, and I went to a place not. I'm like, this is why I'm here. Like the fact that I was, you know, fourth in that line of purpose, like the kaleidoscope of that was, anyway. Yeah, it makes me sit down and write another grant, you know, like.
Don't we need more of that?
I mean, you got to see it,
Right.
see it to say like, why am I doing this, right? So.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I think, you know, you bringing up the word resilience. I think working with the dancers at the Dance for PD community at Berkeley Ballet, I'd had the opportunity to make 2 live pieces for them in the past. This is the first time I'd worked with them on film, and you know what I loved about, so often when I'm making work, it's like, okay, you have 2 weeks, you go in, you like, and this was, they have class every Monday, and so after their class, we'd spend an hour and a half connecting, talking, exploring movement, and it happened every week from January through our filming in June. And so it was this really wonderful kind of time that I got to connect with them. And in 6 months, a lot can happen for folks with PD. And so, and at the same time, my aunt, who I'm very close with, was also nearing end of life. And so they were really supporting me through that. And there was just this really incredible bond that was made through the creative process. And I think that's just what I love about art and what it has the capacity to do to connect us with other folks who maybe, you know, you just walk down the street, you're just going to pass by, you know, and you drop in and you realize, and I think seeing all these films together, I think it's just a reminder we have so much more in common than we have apart from one another. And so I just appreciate all of the work all of you did. Your films are just so moving, and to get to, again, be a part of that community of the Dance for PD folks at Berkeley Ballet was just a gift. Yeah, so the resilience of humans, and individually and then collectively, though, when we come together and can be there for each other. So that the film for me was just lifting that up, lifting up their resilience and their humanity and their just beautiful spirits. And I always feel, you know, if you have a body, you can dance. And really, you know, working through a lot of that with them. I'm going to be in a movie? And you're like, oh, yes, here we go. And they were just such rock stars. And it was interesting you talking about the accessibility. Actually, it was interesting making live pieces with them before, you know, building up to a performance. There's a lot of this, you know, those of you that perform, that's like, which is beautiful, but also can be sort of prohibitive. And what I loved about making a film was, if we messed up, we do it again. It's no big deal. We had an extra day to film. No stress. Let's take our time. It's like, and so I think it also kind of just showed me like how important like time and space are in creative work, and that allows us to kind of drop past the like sort of capitalism of like make an art and then make another art, and like, oh no, we're here to be with each other, and whatever comes out of that is beautiful. Yeah.
First and foremost, I would like to thank you guys. I am a stranger. It's an accident that I'm here. I worked as a videographer for healthcare and education, and after filming the event for the fashion show, invited to do the dance video for We Belong Here with Raven. I didn't go into it knowing what you guys know, right? I didn't go into it understanding the history or the depth of humanity that dance has. And watching the films, just for this festival, it's like, first, coming from me, I was like, how creative can you get, Like, how creative can you actually get? And then I watched the films, I was like, oh man, this is crazy. And there was times where, me just being a bro from the reservation, I was almost to tears at some of these films. It's like, man, I didn't know I could feel this way watching someone move, right? And, in that case, with Raven, I can't help but have a little bit of regret, because I think I would have gone into it asking at least 3 questions. Talking to him before and asking, for this moment, can you let things go? And for this moment, can you resist Western convention and the boundary of time? And for this moment, can you become the person you were intended to be? Because that's what I've seen here in these films. And I would like to bring up one more theme, is space.
That's where I'm going
And
No, you go, and then I'll follow.
I'm trying not to ramble here, but
Oh, no, it's exactly where I was going. We're like the same mind. Yeah, thank you, Linda. Space and time. We're working on it. Go ahead, William.
In the indigenous perspective, we don't measure progress in time like Westerners. Westerners take history and they count like, oh, at least we're not like that anymore, They kind of view it in a step like, well, at least we're not 2 steps down like we were before. Indigenous don't view things that way. We view progress in space. That's why our sacred spaces are so important. And that's why we're late to everything. And I would like for you guys to, make this a sacred space. Bring it here. And, lastly, right, is I seen your city. I've been around and I walked through 7th and all that whole area right there. They need people. They need people to bring life into this city. And I'll be praying for you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, this is the rapid fire so that Linda doesn't explode over there. I love you, Linda. So that means 30 seconds or less, okay? All right. Which is connected to space. What is your favorite place to be and why? In 30 seconds, quickly. Why don't we go, Robin? We'll just go around. Favorite place to be, so space or place to be, and why?
My favorite place to be is fully in my body.
Yes. Yeah. Why? Quickly.
Because it feels good.
Okay. Fabulous. Wait.
But I'm not often here. I'm
Okay.
often here and
Right,
over
right,
there.
right.
And so when I
It
get to
feels
drop
good.
in,
Yes.
yeah, and I actually am present.
Wait, thank you for bringing up space. That was a theme for me too.
When I'm praying with somebody, I think that's my favorite place to be.
Fabulous. Why? Why? Do you know why?
I think it's because sometimes I think when we're in eternity, I'm gonna, when I meet you guys on the other side, I'm gonna say, hey, do you remember me?
Fabulous. Liz, what was your favorite place?
As an extroverted introvert, I'm going to say in community with others, but quietly, just being with people.
Yes, fantastic.
My favorite place to be is around any folks who genuinely care about the person that I am, because I've been in the worst places under the safest conditions. And so I think that can look very different, but anywhere where I am genuinely loved.
Fantastic. Thank you.
For a long time, it was Monday night in Andrew's class. And at the end of the class, he would say, go to your favorite place. And to me, it's this beach in Puerto Rico that I've been to that was, I don't know why, there's something about the barometric pressure or something. I just feel this lightness that I don't feel on all beaches. I'm not a beach girl, but that's my favorite place.
And right now, my favorite place is being here with you all because you have inspired me from the time I was watching the films to curate this. It was an absolute joy to be a part of this process and to enter your art and your way of seeing the world. So thank you. Because as James Baldwin says, this is the kind of work that makes the world a more human dwelling place. So thank you, and thank you all. Well, you know, Linda is saying that we are out of time, and she is not playing. She's got to roll. But listen, these artists are not going anywhere. We have a lobby right outside. Please share your comments with them, your questions. They want to hear from you. So take the time to do that. And then at 6:30, we have Bay Area Shorts happening. So I hope all of us can hang out and have that party because that's the closing showing for our live performances for the 15th anniversary of SF Dance Film Fest. So again, a big hand in love and thank you to the panelists and to all of you, from my heart to yours. Thank you.